Welcome to the deep dive. We take your sources, plunge right in, and try to cut through some of the noise for you. Today, we're looking at MP Materials. They're right at the center of the U.S. rare earth industry. And I think for investors, the big question is pretty clear. Is this recent stock surge just hype? Or is there something genuinely strategic driving the valuation and, the growth prospects? We're going to unpack what your sources are telling us. So let's start right there. What makes MP Materials so strategically important for the U.S. at this moment?
Well, it really comes down to the Mountain Pass mine. That's the key asset. It's in California, and importantly, it's North America's only active, large-scale rare earth mine and initial processing facility.
Only one. Wow.
The only one at scale, yeah. And your sources really stress this point. It makes the company absolutely pivotal if the U.S. wants any kind of real self-sufficiency, especially for critical stuff like neodymium and praseodymium NdPr.
NdPr, right, for magnets.
Yeah, exactly. High-strength magnets. And right now, the really complex high-purity processing, that mostly still happens over in China. MP Materials is basically the main domestic player positioned to try and change that dynamic.
Okay, so it's got this unique asset. But this strategic value isn't just theoretical, is it? I mean, your sources mention some really big endorsements.
Yeah.
Powerful backing.
Oh, definitely. That's where it gets really interesting. Two major ones stand out in the sources. First, the U.S. Department of Defense, the DoD. They've become a really significant stakeholder.
How significant?
We're talking around $400 million. That's through a mix of equity, grants, loans, and, crucially, includes a price floor for NdPr.
A price floor, so downside protection from the government.
Exactly. It helps secure strategic magnet supply for the U.S. And then second, you've got Apple. Apple announced a huge $500 million magnet supply agreement.
$500 million from Apple?
Yeah. And it's not just future demand. It includes prepayments, money up front that directly helps MP Materials expand their downstream facility in Texas, the Independence facility.
So you've got the DoD and Apple essentially funding and guaranteeing demand.
That's a big part of it. And the sources also touch on a newer deal. With Saudi Arabia's Ma'aden, the aim there is even broader, building a fully integrated supply chain from the mine all the way to finished magnets.
It's pretty striking. Guaranteed demand, price floors, government investment. How does that kind of backing directly translate into, well, the market reaction we've seen? How does it de-risk things?
That's the core of it.
Yeah.
The stock jumped something like 200% in just 3 months. Your sources are calling this a national security premium.
National security premium.
Yeah, because these rare earths are just vital. Military tech, EVs, wind turbines, you name it. So when the U.S. government flags these as strategic and then backs it up with real money and contracts, plus a giant like Apple committing long-term, it just transforms the outlook for investors. It massively improves the company's cash flow picture and takes a lot of the financial risk off the table, makes it seem like a much safer bet.
Okay, so the strategic value is clear, the backing is strong, the market's reacted. But for investors listening, what are the cautionary notes? What risks do the sources highlight that you need to keep in mind?
Right, that's crucial. Because while the strategic story is compelling, your sources definitely urge caution. First off, building out this full supply chain in the U.S., especially the really tricky high-purity separation and the actual magnet manufacturing, that takes years and a lot of capital.
It's not flipping a switch.
Not at all. And remember, most of the world's processing capacity is still in China, so full independence is a long way off. Second, that high valuation. It already assumes a lot. It assumes policy support continues, that those price guarantees hold up long-term.
What if they don't? Or competitors pop up?
Exactly. If those terms change or new players enter the market successfully, profitability could definitely take a hit. And finally, there's just plain execution risk. Mining, chemical processing.
Yeah.
These are tough, expensive businesses. They depend on permits. Things go wrong.
Delays, cost overruns.
Yeah, any significant hiccups in getting production ramped up or facilities built could seriously impact their earnings. Things you need to watch.
So pulling this all together, it's a fascinating story. MP Materials really sits at this intersection of, national strategy, global supply chains, and straight-up investment opportunity.
It does. And for you, the investor, it kind of boils down to this.
Yeah.
MP Materials has undeniable strategic importance for the U.S. That's clear. The recent stock surge reflects real improvements, like those big contracts, but also a good deal of optimism baked in about the future.
So what's the key takeaway then?
Monitor the hard data. That's what your sources emphasize. Keep a close eye on the actual numbers. Things like NdPr shipment volumes, magnet shipments, real revenue figures. Check the details on those government contracts as they evolve. Track their capital spending progress. That's where you'll see if the reality is matching the promise.
Right. It shows that these strategic investments aren't just about market trends. They're about these bigger, long-term geopolitical shifts. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other industries, maybe foundational ones, might start seeing similar kinds of national level strategic investment emerge? Something to think about.